Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tanya June Moore here at the Sedona International Film Festival in 2016, and I'm here with Sandy Tung with Evans Crime. Did I get that right?
You did.
Yay! So you just rolled into town.
I just flew into Phoenix, hopped in my Nissan rent-a-car and got up here, had some ribs, had some water. I'm here.
And now you're sitting.
Yeah.
This is it. Okay, so we'll have a little conversation about your movie, and then I'll lock you some Sedona questions. How's
Okay,
that?
great.
So tell me a little bit about Evans Crime. I know I haven't seen it. I read the synopsis of it. So let's tell our audience about what the movie is.
Evans Crime is about a young college student from Baton Rouge who is wrongfully accused of some minor drug offenses, but prosecuted vigorously and threatened with up to 28 years in jail for these crimes, which he didn't commit, basically.
Oh my. Okay.
So
That's
I mean,
deep.
it's
That's deep.
on a certain level. I mean, I really look at the film on two different levels. On a certain level, it's a social critique of our justice system and the over prosecution, in my opinion, of nonviolent drug crimes, and basically the way our legal system works, which is that most crimes are resolved by plea bargaining, and the way things work is that prosecutors prosecute criminals to their maximum to get them to plea bargain. So the threat is like, I'm going to threaten you with 28 years in jail. You tell me the real truth, and then I'll cut it to 5, 4, whatever. However, if you happen to be totally innocent of all these crimes and you don't know anything, you're kind of screwed. So on one level, it's it's in addition to that, it's about our federal system, which is set up with mandatory minimums without any judicial recourse. If you are sentenced to these crimes, you do that time. So, and this issue is actually very current right now, and apparently, I hope the federal government is going to, change the very worst of this. So I'm hoping, and then my partners and I are all hoping that this actually happens.
Is that the reason why you made this film?
It's part of the reason, As a filmmaker, as I said, the film is actually on two levels for me. It's one about the political and social issues, but for me, it's also, as a filmmaker, it's an emotional journey. And to me, it's about this young man who finds himself in a really terrible situation, and what do you do and how do you react to an unjust situation? Because we all go through life and unjust things happen to you, and you have no control over them. And how do you react, and what is the proper reaction to it, or how do you resolve it in some way so you can move forward with your life?
Did you write the script?
I was one of the co-writers on it. I actually, it was originally written by my two partners, Dale Rosenblum and David Assail, and they showed me the script, and I was interested, but I, of course, being a director, had to, sully the waters. And so I spent a year or two rewriting it, and then we shot it.
How many days did it take you to shoot this?
Believe it or not, we shot it in 16 days.
Wow.
That was, well, this was an interesting experiment for me because I had never done a film in this short a time. And, the whole process of filmmaking has been revolutionized by new equipment and new cameras. And so we shot it digitally on the Red camera. And one of the things that really saved us a lot of time is I shot 2 cameras, and so I saved a lot of time that way. And also there are technical aspects of the Red camera which you shoot at such high definition that, in fact, if I'm shooting a mid-shot like this, in the editing room, I can kind of blow it up to a close-up. So you kind of get 2 for 1 when you're shooting.
Yeah.
So it allowed me to be a little more free about how much coverage I needed, because I knew that I could, in fact, get additional shots out of the takes I had.
Nice. How did you cast this? I mean, the main character is a tough character.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's a tough situation, and he's young. He's very young.
Right.
So how did you find him?
Well, the star of the film is a young man named Douglas Smith, and Douglas is actually half Canadian, half American. And he's, been a working actor for a long time. I mean, I guess his biggest claim to fame is he was in this HBO series, Big Love. So he did that for 6 years. He played Bill Paxton's son. And coincidentally, I mean, I shot this in Baton Rouge, and coincidentally, after he did Big Love, Douglas moved to New Orleans for no other reason. I guess he got tired of LA. I don't know why anyone would do that, but he did. So he's living in New Orleans, but that actually wasn't the reason I cast him. I just really liked him as an actor. I mean, he's also in this new HBO series called Vinyl, just to give him a plug for that.
Oh, thank you for that. I'm sure he appreciates it. Have you? It's been at other festivals, has it?
It has.
And what was the reception like at the other festivals?
Great.
They loved it.
Great. Wow.
Yes.
You know, as a
they
filmmaker,
did.
and
Yes.
filmmaker. First of all, as a filmmaker, I understand that everyone lies to me, and that no matter what happens at the end of the film, they say great, 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 and you really have to learn how to distinguish between the greats and the greats, and which has real meaning and which has just a pro forma thing. But that being said, I'm really proud of the film. I think it's done really well. We've gotten some good reviews, and I'm proud of it.
Great. Wait, has it already screened here this week? I mean, I know you
No,
haven't
no,
been
it
here. I know you
screens.
haven't been here.
I just rolled in. It's screening tonight, I think at the Harkin 2 around 6:15.
I think it's sold out.
Oh, it is.
So
Wow.
most
See,
of our films
that's-
sell out.
That's
so,
amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing.
You're
Because,
at
I have to say, when Pat told me my screening times, which are Thursday at 6 and Saturday morning at 9, I said, oh my God, I am in deep doo-doo. But, Sedona supports the festival. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've been tagged as the Filmmakers Festival for that very reason. You're here with an entire group of people who love movies. And so I know your reception's going
Right.
to be...
Well, I have actually been in the Sedona Festival in the past.
Oh, wonderful. Tell us about it.
I had a family film here, I think 8 years ago. It was called Alice Upside Down. And, we had a great reception then as well.
So what does it mean to be at a festival like this prestigious? We've been here 22 years. We attract some of the best of the best. What's it feel like to be here?
Well, it's great. I mean, it's a terrific festival. I mean, I've been here before. I know Pat. Pat's great. It's obviously well organized. I'm looking at this. I'm sold out. I mean, and truthfully, as a filmmaker, the only thing that really matters is how many people come to your screening. I mean, there are a lot of other festivals where they treat you great, they fly you in, they put you in these nice hotels, they take you to all these receptions, and you go to your film and there's 20 people there, and you go, oh God, I just flew 5,000 miles,
yeah.
2,000 miles, and this is, that is the number one thing in terms of how I judge a festival.
Wonderful. Well, we're glad to have you here, and I do want to open it up to the gallery for questions.
The
Sure,
gallery.
please.
The timeline of the film
Uh-huh.
goes from A to Z.
Right.
It starts present day, but then you get flashbacks.
Right.
a couple-
I got confused along the way. What can I-
Well, in the writing process, do you write it in chronological order and then start moving things around, or was it always?
No, it was always done in flashback. That was always the intent. Well, in seeing the film, I know you've seen the film. I mean, I had to establish there's a certain particular arc that he has. And quite frankly, in terms of telling films nowadays, I think audiences are so sophisticated that I try as a filmmaker and attempt to do something that is a little bit challenging, a little bit different. And when we wrote the script, many people were saying, oh, you're going to need timestamps and you're going to need all this because people will get confused. And in screening it, not in a lot of places, but 4 or 5 public screenings, I mean, nobody seems to be confused by it at all. So, yeah, I mean, that was always part of the design of the film.
The timeline, though, is obvious where you are because of analog computers, televisions.
Uh-huh.
Then in present day, he's got an iPhone.
Right.
So you always know where he
Right.
is.
Well, and also, I mean, I'm sure you're aware we have him. He has a different haircut. He looks, I think, considerably different, and also we did color timing to distinguish the time. So I mean, I tried to convey that subliminally, as well as just straightforward. So I think it's clear. You know, you weren't confused, were you?
No, because
Okay.
for the reasons. I
Great.
Angela.
Can you talk a little bit about the using of two cameras and how that affects you as a director? And I guess you also participate in the editing, it sounds like,
Right.
too. So how all those things work in your process?
As a director, I mean, there are many ways to use two cameras. I actually use them in the most unusual way that people use them, which is that if I'm shooting a scene between us, generally when you use two cameras, they'll shoot both cameras this way and do a close-up and a mid. That's usually done for the director of photography because that way they only have to light one side. Knowing the schedule I had when I hired my DP, I told her we really have to think of this more as you know, a Keeping Up with Kardashians kind of shoot. In other words, we're going to come into a location. I'm going to have to like shoot in half hour, and you have to be able to use a lot of available light and a minimal amount of lighting. So we actually shot crossways. So I would shoot you, and I would shoot me at the same time, which I think is so fabulous as a director. Basically, because as actors, two things. One, that we're both engaged in the scene.
Same
Be,
take.
be the same take. So, you know, they're very professional actors, and I understand this, that they have to, particularly it's an emotional scene, they try to, you know, hold something back. And this way they're both doing it. So they're both involved. And the other aspect of it is, also in my experience as a director, that generally I find with actors that the best takes for them in terms of performance are the third or fourth take, because you know, they get to know the scene, and then it's still fresh and it's real, you know. And if I'm in traditional shooting, which would be I would shoot all your stuff, then I would break, relight, shoot this way. I mean, this is often an hour or two later. We've probably done 7 or 8 takes at least this way. You know, we've probably had lunch, and then you're coming back, and all of a sudden you have to recreate that scene. It's just not the same. So I also feel I'm getting the best performances that way. So it was a revelation for me to shoot that way. I mean, I was really, really scared to shoot because I had never done a film like that, and I was wondering if, like, am I going to cut off my face cut off my nose to spite my face? It's just too big a thing to handle. I mean, you know, there's a fine line between foolishness and bravery, and so you know, I mean, the film could have really sank and failed. But honestly, I was thrilled with the whole process. You know, obviously, if I had more money, I would do even more, but given all the limitations, I was really excited how it came out.
Do you find a camera like the Red camera works really well in sort of makeshift, make-do lighting situations?
The Red digital cameras I mean, the truth is that digital, I don't think, still doesn't have the latitude of film, so that you're compromised with the imagery. So you have to accommodate that. You have to, I mean, I would be really reluctant to shoot in really bright light outside, and I mean, you have to do something there. However, and the Red in particular is one of the better cameras. It's not the best camera. The best camera is the Alexa in terms of latitude. But you know, the digital cameras are actually very good in low light situations. So when you're doing interiors, they're actually really good. So yeah.
Great.
Trajan?
With subject matter like this, I'm talking about like drug laws
Right.
and the frankly broken justice
Right.
system. You know, people are going to want to go out and do things. So, are there any organizations that you really champion in regards to this? Any like grassroots organizations that you think people can and should join to try and combat this kind of mistreatment of the justice system?
Well, one organization that actually producing partner and writing partner is very active is an organization called FAM, which stands for Families Against Mandatory Minimums. And and in fact, in some ways, the story was inspired by, I mean, if you go on their website, you know, there are literally dozens of stories that they list of all these people who are in jail for, you know, just a lot. I mean, it's not that most of these people haven't committed some kind of crime, but it's that, you know, the amount of punishment that they're being given is so outrageous to in my opinion, once again, to what they've actually done. So, you know, that would be an organization I would point people to.
Yes.
And I think your personal experiences and the personal life have influenced your filmmaking, and like the style or something, and this can be seen in which part of your movie the events are.
Okay, so the question, I'm sorry, I'm trying to, you asked if I had personal experiences regarding this?
Yeah, I mean your personal experiences have influenced your filmmaking.
Have your personal
Yes, I think, yes, they always influence your filmmaking. I have no direct personal experiences about being arrested or being sent to jail, but in terms of how I perceive human behavior, how I think about people in trouble and in dire situations. Certainly I've experienced my own trauma and tough situations, and I draw upon that to make it real. I mean, you know, I think as a director, the most important thing I'm doing is judging performances and decide and kind of channeling the actors into what I see and feel is an honest and truthful performance. And you know, I'm the audience, because when we're directing, you know, I'm the one who tells them and guides them, and so that's critical to me. And that's, of course, I draw on my own personal experience, but in terms of legal experience, I thankfully have none.
Sure.
Two questions on actors. One, as soon as the movie was over, I was dying to know the real age of the young woman who is supposed to be underage and we discovered is 16.
Okay.
Because she does look a lot older.
Uh-huh.
It's an important plot point.
Uh-huh.
And the other one was David Arquette an easy or a tough sell?
Okay. The young lady who played
In the motel room.
in the motel room was 21. That being said, I mean, your reaction was she played older.
Well, that was the point, because she
Right,
does look older.
right,
And then it's a
right,
surprise when
right,
you discover.
right, and-
So that, as soon as it was over, my first thing was, I wonder how old she really is.
No, she is 21. She had just actually graduated from, I believe, from LSU, not acting, but I guess acting school at LSU. David Arquette, what was the question regarding
Is it
David?
tough or
What-
an easy sell
To get him involved, yeah.
Because he's the name.
David Arquette.
but,
Right, he's the name, David Arquette of Scream.
Yes.
And Courtney Cox.
Yes.
And it actually was really an easy sell, because David, you know, liked the material, liked the role, and so, and I think he liked the fact that it, you know, and I'm speaking for him, but I think he liked the fact that it's very different than anything he's been doing lately. I mean, he usually, I guess, off the Scream series gets cast a lot as kind of this loose slacker kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And he's, you know, definitely a type A. He plays the prosecutor, who is the assistant USDA who's prosecuting Evan. And he's a hard-nosed guy, and, you know.
So he really sunk into it and liked it a lot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he had fun.
That's
He had
good.
fun. In fact, we were doing the film. He literally had his son like 2 days before we started shooting, and he said, "I'm coming out," and so he flew out to Baton Rouge to be with us. So
Nice.
we really appreciate his participation.
One last one,
I have a
Elliot.
question for you. So I was doing some research online, correct me if I'm wrong, but you went to NYU for your MFA.
I did.
Okay. So in what ways has your intensive study of film shaped or tremendously helped your approach to the creative process? And secondly, for those considering to pursue those options, would you encourage that?
Encourage going to
To
films.
an MFA or some kind of graduate program after?
No,
Would he encourage someone going to
right.
getting an
I mean,
MFA?
that's not an easy question to answer because in many ways, and I've seen a lot of, I mean, first of all, it is so expensive to go to these schools now. I don't even know, probably $200,000 if you're going to live there. That's a huge commitment, and I think that on one hand, you can, if you care, really learn a lot of that stuff on your own. I think the real benefit to going to NYU for me was that I met other like-minded kids. That's when I was a kid, who were, interested in pursuing a film career. And, I literally can trace everything I've done back to a couple of friends. I mean, what happens is that I get a job,
You call your
assisting,
buddies.
I call them that, they need a PA, they this. And so, in that way, it's great. And, being a very proud alumni of NYU. NYU's a great film school, and I firmly believe we have, made the best or graduated the best film directors in this country. So I'll give my little plug for that. But on the other hand, $200,000, if you really know what the heck you're doing, I mean, it's perfectly legitimate. And to do the Quentin Tarantino route, you go shoot your film. Because ultimately, that degree at NYU means nothing, means absolutely nothing in this film. Well, next to nothing. What matters is the films you make. So if you happen to be a self-starter and someone who can do that, and and truthfully, you can make a film with your friends. $50,000, you could make a hell of a film for that kind of money. So I don't think there's any way to road to success. I think everybody's path is different, and it changes all the time. And so I think you have to, really evaluate who you are and what your strengths are. And so, NYU's great, but I certainly couldn't afford it right now. I don't know what I would do if I had to
Right.
do it right now.
It's different.
It's
than
different.
it
The
was.
world's different.
Yeah. All right. So what's the website for Evans Crime?
It's evanscrime.com.
Easy enough. evanscrime.com. Is there a trailer for the audience
There
to watch?
is a trailer on the website.
Okay.
I got that much together.
Yeah, rock on. And we'll make sure that we tout that out for you on
Great.
our website so
Great.
people can be engaged as well.
Terrific.
And we wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank
here.
you so much. It's a
And
pleasure to be
Thank you
here.
so much for being here.
It's my honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.